Hey guys, I just found this. This is from the Minuteman Militia. Looks like it's June. No, this is April 19th, 2018. So there's a new DACA bill being pushed on the Hill, and backers say that they have the votes. There are two issues where the GOP Congress is crushed and burned. There has to be immigration, health care, so on and so forth. And they want to give amnesty to 800,000 people. Right there. See that? I'm going to zoom that in so you can see. Because they're vulnerable, you know? Aww. Aww. Don't just strike at the your heart strings, you know? They got 218 members on board, heading for a bipartisan bill. They've been deeply divided on the immigration, despite polling. Okay, a bunch of maneuvering in House Speaker Ryan to move such legislation. Yeah, well, we don't need Brian. Okay. Now, this is not good. Why is it not good? They've done this before, people. I've put it in other videos, what they have done. I'm going to go over here just a second. I want you to see what's been going on your entire life, and it don't stop. It's a political ploy is what it is. Now they have passed 7 amnesties from Congress since the Reform Control Act. Millions of people, aliens, illegal ones, have received amnesty in the United States. Okay. What do you get out of it? All you do is get burdened of taking care of these people for the next 20, 40, 60 years and their offspring. Okay, Immigration Reform Control Act 1986, a blanket amnesty for 2.7 million aliens. I'm going to zoom this up just a little bit more. I'm going to, hang on. Everybody just hang loose. So I throw in some music. Okay. Immigration Reform Act 1986, a blanket amnesty for 2.7 million aliens. Number 2. 1994, a temporary rolling amnesty for 578,000 illegal aliens. Section 3. Extension amnesty. 1997, an extension of the rolling amnesty created in 1994. Number 4, Nicaraguan Adjustment and Central American Relief Act. Amnesty, 1997, amnesty for close to 1 million illegals from Central America. Number 5, Haitian Refugee Immigration Fairness Act amnesty. 1998, it's amnesty for 125,000 illegal aliens from Haiti. Okay, now. Late amnesty 2000, and an amnesty for some illegal aliens who claim they should have been amnestized under the 1986 amnesty law, an estimated 400,000 illegal aliens. Number 7, Life Act Amnesty 2000, a reinstatement of the rolling section amnesty, an estimated 900,000 illegal aliens. And like I said, what does the American people get out of this? They are burdened. More welfare, more housing, more free education. And what do you get out of it? Well, I suggest that the American people get something out of these amnesties. How about amnesty for all the gun owners of the United States of America? How about get rid of all the unjust gun laws? In case you people didn't know this thing about laws. They have the color of law, but are they law? This is the Federal Firearm Act. It says Where does the federal government get its constitutional authority to enact laws such as the National Firearms Act, which has been codified to Chapter 44 of Title 18 of the United States Code? Upon which laws are operable and where? And since you read the Constitution, it reveals that the federal government has no specifically delegated authority to regulate firearms. So where does the federal government authority to regulate firearms come from? One would think that the high number of Americans supporting the right to keep and bear arms would question this. But over the last 30 years or so, laws concerning firearms have become a matter of public policy with no regard to the constitutional elements involved. Why aren't more Americans challenging this? It's because the people of this great nation, they understand that the federal judiciary thing is corrupt and will not honor the Constitution when required to do so. We also believe that Americans are not willing to challenge the Federal Firearms Act because over the last 40 years or so, the laws have been written in an ever-increasing deceptive manner. Every law that we dear and were clear back then, and when they were originally enacted, have been amended over the last 40 years to remove the specifically of the law that renders them more vague, even more flexible to the interpretation of cooperative judges. Yeah. Well, anyway, where do they get the authority? They keep moving these things into these things called codes and things like that. You know, the Federal Firearms, if you try to look up the Federal Firearm Act, associated with 18 United States Code Chapter 44, you won't find it. And why do we refer to this here? Because many of the provisions that are currently codified to Title 18, Chapter 44, were not originally codified there. The Federal Firearms Act was enacted in 1938. It was originally codified to Title 15. So what is Title 15? It is entitled Commerce and Trade. Do you remember that little discussion about creating vagueness where there was none? Well, this is a stunning an example. From 1938 to 1968, the Federal Firearm Act was within Title 15. That's 30 years, folks. Despite the law operating just fine for 30 years, somebody deemed it no longer proper to have the law contained in Title 15. You want to guess why? Because the government's jurisdictional limits were far too easy to discern and when the law was created. Codes are not law, people. Codes are only guidelines. They're not law. Code is not law. It's a guideline. It's time to get back to the Constitution. Now, if you look here, here's this Office of United States Attorneys. Okay. Now, this is restriction on the possession of firearms by individuals convicted of misdemeanor crimes of domestic violence. Well, misdemeanor is not a felony, people. But anyway, they got this law. And what this law does is destroys the foundation of marriages. That's all it is. That's all it was meant to do. It's not to protect the poor little woman or whatever. This is a bunch of crap. So they stick all this stuff under the guidelines of this United States 18 U.S.C. Code 922, so on and so forth. It says here, now if you've been convicted, this is even before, you can't pass a law after the occurrence of an act or a crime or something and then lump everybody into it. But that's what they did. That's what they did. All they did was this is what the so-called firearms acts and these codes, okay, you know what they are? It's backdoor gun control. That's all it is. Trying to gain more power where none was granted to them from the people. If they read the Constitution and go by the Constitution, this stuff wouldn't be on the law books. Remember, codes are not laws. They're only guidelines. Get that through your head. And like I said, we want something for all these amnesties. There's passed 7 of them since 1986. 7 of them, people. We probably have right now 12 to 20 million illegals living in this country. Thanks for watching.